for our Mental Health Monday. Again, we're doing things a little bit different. We're talking about certain different things as a topic. We're going to incorporate them in Mental Health Mondays, and we're doing it because a lot of things people battle with and deal with comes from some mental health trait. So we're going to talk about people with substance abuse, I don't like to call people drug addicts, but with drug abuse problems. Um, we're going to talk about that next because I think to have that problem, it taps into a mental disorder of some sort. I'm no professional on it, so I'm not here to diagnose people. I only have an associate's degree in psychology. I don't diagnose people. So I do believe if you tap into, first of all, let's talk about how it starts. I think it's horrific in most cases. Most people that are on drugs were introduced to it by a way that they probably shouldn't have been. Some silly, goofy, foolish adult introduced some younger person to it for whatever weird, diabolical game they could have. Whether it's some, I'm trying to, the date rape thing. People put something in your drink so they can have their way with you, violate your body. Just foolish adults who are already addicted to drugs. Their mind is all fried out, so they give kids drugs. Then they grow up addicted. So, drugs start from so many dark places. It is, whoo, baby. Anyway, yeah. So it starts somewhere, but to go through life and navigate it where you're never ever getting in a place where you're strong enough to get off of them, and you're just stuck in that, you're just stuck. I think at some point it plays mentally somewhere, and so that's why I again choose to do it for mental health topic. But do you know anyone that battles and deal with drug addiction? Let's not even talk about the worst case scenario. How many people have lost their life to overdoses? It's countless. We've seen it and heard it so many times, in the media, on news and whatnot. It's very tragic. And I just think it's tragic even before somebody meets their demise. It's tragic because there's so many outlets nowadays to get help, and people just don't. Families do interventions, friends do interventions, co-workers do interventions, and I hate to see the decline of people where they get better for 4 or 5 years and relapse. Like, it's so many different avenues to this, y'all, so that's why I'm going to actually make this a short topic, because if I try to hit on all avenues, I'll be here the rest of the night. It's all the things. It's the suicides, it's the overdose, it's the interventions, it's the how did it start, and when they got clean, and it's the relapses. I can't cover all that. I'll just touch on it in more topics going forward. But this one is just to give it a basic highlight. Drug addiction is horrible. Do you live with someone who battles with that? And watching another one of my shows I watch is Divorce Court. I watched a very young lady, very young couple just the other day. That young lady was so freaking mature. I wanted to hug her through the screen. She was holding it down, pregnant, dealing with a young guy that was battling some drug addiction. And it was they started out young, and it was an interracial couple, but they just seemed to be so cute, and she was holding it down, trying her best, and he sounded like he was trying, but he was struggling. It was a really interesting case, and she was just like, I just want him to be clean, I just want him to do better for himself. She was pregnant, about to give birth to their first son. It was a lot going on in that case. Some of y'all probably know what I'm talking about because you watched. It was literally this week, so it's a struggle, and she's a young girl, 24 I think, but whew, she was wise beyond her years, very mature mindset, and her mindset was just very strong, very mature, and you could tell he loved her as well. He was trying, but he was struggling. He talked about the different times in life that he struggled with it, but I just think it's sad. I'm skipping. I'm a little bit all over the place with this topic, y'all. I don't like to talk about drug addiction. I just don't. And for reasons that I'm not going to talk about on this video. But I go back to Keisha Cole. Her mom died, We all who's tapped into that world of Keisha Cole, her singing career, her family, the TV show they had. If you ever, when I say we all, those people that follow. Frankie, I was rooting for that woman. And so she's one of those stories that I'm talking about. Got clean, didn't, got clean, relapsed. She went through that battle of drug addiction and then met her demise through what I think the media shared was overdose. It's horrible, horrific. So it's just sad when people they have the desire. Their drug is so strong, it's a monster, and it's so strong that even when they want to, they can't, and they keep the relapse. And then it was like fun, and I'm being mindful of how I say that, and follow me, you'll know where I'm going. It was fun to watch her journey, even though that was her end, because the highlights of Frankie's life was when she was good and clean. So it was fun watching her. She was such a ball of life. I met her in person actually. Um, she was just full of life. She loved her kids. She loved her family. She had that addiction, and to know that it took her out was just heartbreaking. Because she had so many ups in her drug battle. She had so many times that we really thought she was gonna make it. And I happened to be in Georgia one year for New Year's. I was at Juanita Bynum's church, bringing in the New Year. And it was so weird because as we were going, there was this one, many times people had killed Frankie off when she wasn't really dead. But it had just surfaced that Keisha Cole's mom had died again, one of those falsified things floating around on social media. And it was the weirdest thing. I'm just there with my family because we wanted to be at Juanita Bynum's church for New Year's Eve to bring it in. And all of a sudden, this entourage of people come through, and I'm like, what is going on? Is this a part of like a skit they're doing for New Year's or something? It was Frankie and her entourage. They came in, they sat down, they did not stay the whole time. And so when she left, we so goofy, we left. The service wasn't even over, we just left. I could be wrong, maybe the service wasn't over because it wasn't that many people in the parking lot, and it wouldn't have just been us trying to speak to Frankie. We saw her in the parking lot, she was like, man down, man down. Speaking of, we just like it was just she spoke to us. She was friendly. We just had a moment, and it was just heartbreaking years later to have seen her up close and personal. And we was just in the parking lot speaking to her. She kept doing the man down. We were yelling back at her and stuff, and it was just weird to see that. So that's just a personal, interaction I had with somebody that was a celebrity's mom that actually met her demise of drug addiction, and it's just horrible. So if you are living with somebody with that, I hope you're doing the things to first keep yourself sane and know how to manage living with somebody like that. And, maybe do the research. There's always crisis centers. There's always substance abuse centers. Every city, every state, every county, tune into those things and do your best to coach a person into getting, some help because it can be detrimental. It's life-changing. Obviously, we know it can end in the worst case scenario. So it's tough. And mentally, it plays on people that's in their lives as well as them. It's a struggle for everybody involved. It tears and pull families apart. We're not going to talk about children because, like I said, there's so many avenues I could go down. We're just going to kind of keep it here with drug addiction, how horrible it can be. Do the work with somebody, for somebody. Try to work on interventions and just getting people into facilities if that's what needs to happen. If you see someone really traveling down that road, I just have to stay there because anywhere else I go is going to make this topic really long. And I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up. If you care to share, again, you never have to share, oh, my cousin John or my sister Melissa. We don't need names and stuff, but if you want to share a story of someone you might know and how you navigated, how you helped, how you don't know. Maybe you want to drop in the comments to get some help. Y'all know I jump on and start researching some stuff. What city, what state, what county you in? Let's get some numbers. Let's get some resources. Let's do that. Um, but yeah, it's another monster. It's another monster. And I hate to say, but I'm going to go ahead and say, if you are a person that struggles with that, I said it from my very first video I ever created on YouTube. I don't want to be the typical YouTube content creator. I like to know that I come from a different caliber. If I ever need to hop off this camera and behind the scenes talk to somebody, help somebody, deal with something, work with somebody, I absolutely would and will. So if that's ever a thing that a person needs, I have contact information down in my description bar. You can always find it there. I never like to see people struggle and suffer. And as we like to say when we deal with mental health is you don't have to suffer alone. I'm going to wrap this video up there. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned. Keep watching. Don't forget to share and engage. Drop anything down in the comments that you think could be helpful to somebody else that may be watching this video. I'll see you all next time.